A weaker market in the Chicago Mercantile Exchange on Friday and new estimates for the crop in the United States. Jerry Gidel has all the analysis and estimates for his weekly commentary right here on Connected Farmer, your channel to keep you up to date with the latest trends in agriculture and livestock. A Friday rally for corn and soybeans and the breakup about the USDA's WASDE report. Right here with Jerry Gidel on Connected Farmer, your channel to keep you up to date with the latest trends in agriculture and livestock. So Jerry, let's first go comment about the markets. On Friday, we had a weaker a lower price for both corn and soybeans. What do you think has influenced the market at the close?
Well, it's a combination of always the unknowns of the weekend and what might be uh, occurring here uh, on the fronts in the world markets at this point. Weekends can be scary for traders at this point, so they'd and to some extent the technicals are there. We had a firmness early in the week because of cold weather and concerns about the U.S. wheat crop, which didn't turn out to be really the case here with the temperature staying above zero in the Southwest. So that situation there, but then the wheat wasn't part of what happened uh, late in the week. It got excited about uh, some issues around the world on demand and things of that nature. So the corn and soybeans really we're just kind of sitting back here waiting to see what next week's world news is going to be. We've had a lot of uh, uh, different situations developing here. Uh, there was optimism about some type of a uh, potential uh, working out of the Black Sea issues, but all of a sudden, President Trump didn't seem to think he needed to have Ukraine's leader involved with the talks. So that's sparked a lot of
Well,
news there.
yeah, putting that in context, do you think that would allow Ukraine to expand its wheat output?
Well, if you're not having to dodge bombs and things like that, yes, you would think that they would have a chance to maybe get going for next year on expanded plantings, things like that. The biggest key is going to be, of course, being able to afford those kinds of things. I think there'll be lots of people willing to give them some credit to get some stuff going if that thing is settled over there instead of after that. But at this point, I'm not sure we're really going down that path very fast if we don't end up including the Ukraine in the initial talks. It seems like that our the coziness between Trump and Putin has he come back and tried to accuse the Ukrainians of starting the war again, and even the U.S. Senate and the leaders there says, "Wait a second, that's not what happened." So maybe we're going to get some sanity back in this thing as we go forward. But overall, the prospects of maybe some expanded Ukrainian scenarios are there, but until we get something done at the peace table, I don't know that that's going to happen just yet.
Yeah, so you have new estimates ahead of the USDA Ag Outlook, and the trade and your own numbers tell that there will be an increase in corn surface in the United States, while there will be a reduction in the bean surface.
Yes, yes. Well, it's basically since well early last fall, the corn prices have been on a firm note. Basically the users out there decided that values near and below $4 on cash were very attractive to put that away, and they were more than willing to. So we've had some very, very strong domestic demand. We've had strong overseas demand, and that, and also the fact that Ukraine uh, didn't have all right crop, but nothing spectacular there. South America also had a disappointing crop last year. And so all of a sudden, our crop was the one that, and it was very good quality, by the way, since it was very dry at this point. So everybody was scooping that up, and that was a positive from there. Uh, the soybean side of things, there wasn't, with China really being a reluctant buyer in the soybean market these days, and that's still somewhat of a head scratcher on that one. Uh, the demand for soybeans, even with some reduced crops in South America, were hasn't been as robust, and so the temperament of the U.S. farmer has been to bounce back on corn plantings. Now, it'll be quite interesting. The plantings generally are 3 to 4 million in the trade there, kind of relatively speaking, and the beans it's somewhere between 3.5 and 4 millions down.
Yes,
Uh,
I think what was surprising was the co-bank number because there was a substantial increase.
yes, the Kobach number was a startling one, and to some extent, uh, their analysts have some connections to some of their member co-ops and what they're hearing out there. Sometimes the people in the office, though, at the co-op, sometimes also get wrapped up in conversations more than they should too. But for 94.5 million versus well, at this point, the numbers there of 93.5 million seems maybe a tad aggressive on that. So sorry, had to get my cheat sheet out here. It was covered up by my phone. So anyway, that's an interesting scenario on that. And at the same time, they were also anticipating a higher bean number. So it looks like that the Midwest co-ops that are really strong with CoBank are anticipating that and maybe less wheat than the trade. That's my interpretation, though, is a little bit twisted. I kind of feel like that oats and barley were dinged up pretty good last year, and if Canada's not as a strong a supplier for either one of those, we might see some producers in the U.S. increasing those numbers, which will compensate for in the Northern Plains from there. Because the interesting thing about it, that mix of stuff of spring wheat and oats and barley is definitely a factor up in the Northern Plains and South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana area. So that will be a very important thing to see. To some extent, the USDA doesn't do a complete estimate out there in their numbers along the way, but we'll get a good handle on that, I think, once we get to at least Friday morning.
So, are there any other highlights about the outlook that you were expecting?
Uh, well, the interesting twist on it is that uh, both the auto shows and even the U.S. Were planning on the whole uh, expanded EV type scenarios and that on the direction of what they were doing. So the change in administration here has definitely changed some of the attitudes about where that situation's going. So to some extent, it's going to be interesting how the program does go along at this point. But in general, my expectations are a little more conservative on those yields, or excuse me, on those planning numbers. I'm looking for basically a 93.7, which would be up to about 3.1 million, and on beans, looking for a 3.2 down number on that at 83.85. Now, as I said, I'm kind of looking for three or 400,000 in oats and barley and then and wheat up. So the one that's going to be kind of an outlier on this whole thing is U.S. cotton. That's a big factor in the Southwest. And if they really don't plant cotton in Texas Panhandle and things like that, because the prices are really down, and that
Oh,
there's not a lot
and
of
the weather
alternatives.
is a major factor still.
Oh, definitely. That's one of the few things that can exist down there. So we'll have to see if they don't plant cotton. I don't think they're going to end up planting corn. There's not that takes a lot of money for irrigation, or from and there's not many irrigated cotton fields, by the way, either. So end up in general the numbers on Friday. We could be just kind of creeping along till we get to the end of the week here, and the markets have hung in here, considering the fact that we went up to $5 and up to $6 on wheat, and we didn't really get very far through. So part of this is just profit taking against that, but we've kind of continued to move sideways here as we in the markets, waiting to see what will develop in two fronts, both the mid the Black Sea issues there, and also what the USDA is going to say on Friday. So we'll maybe get some more clarity once we get there.
All right. We'll see. We'll speak again next Friday. Thank you.
Sounds like take care, sir. Have a good day.